Do you want to learn how to use sweets as a really effective practice method? Or you can do a healthy alternative, I don't mind. Hello everyone, I'm Christy-Lyn, and today we're going to be talking about chunking. A little while ago we talked about 10 different practice tips that you can use for effective practice. If you missed that, then I'll put it up in the cards, you can watch that video. Today we're focusing in on one of those practice strategies called chunking, and we're going to go step by step through using it with a piece. The piece I'm going to be demonstrating with is one of my original tunes called My Childhood Swing. So if you'd like the sheet music for that, then I'll also put it up in the cards. You can buy it either directly on my website for download, or you can join my sheet music club where we get original sheet music every month, and this will be one of them. Let me explain the basic concept of chunking. So sometimes when we practice our pieces, we go through from the beginning to the end, and that's not always the most effective way to get things to actually improve. Chunking is when you take small sections of the piece and you play it many times over and really get to grips with that before you move on to the next section. And it really helps us to focus with our practice and not spread our practice so thinly over the entire piece. And so you can do different ways of keeping track of how many times you've played through a particular section. And once it becomes a habit, you may not need a tool, but to start off with, it can be helpful to use something like I'm using sweets to check that I'm playing through each section 10 times over. You could also use beads or stones or some kind of healthy alternative, but I think it's quite fun to use sweets. So I'm going to put them behind over here, and so you'll be able to see it in my other camera as I'm practicing. Let's start chunking. So the size of the chunks that you choose in your piece is going to depend on your speed and what you need to work on. So I'm going to leave that up to you to decide. What I'm doing is just a demonstration of how chunking works. So I would start with, I think that's the most difficult thing in the beginning, is to get your hand ready to play that note there. So I'm going to isolate just that section and do chunking of that. So that's one. And we only put it in when we don't make a mistake. Oop, I made a mistake, so I don't put it in, I just keep going. And that's good. And we're choosing a section that's possible for you to play. If that was too difficult for you and you need to do a smaller section, then that's the right chunk for you. Okay, and we keep going until we've done it 10 times over, and then either we move on to the next section, but in this piece I'm just going to add in a little bit extra because I want to get through this whole phrase. Okay, that's my chunk now. So I'll start again from the beginning, and that's once. Twice, and we keep on going right up until 10, doing that chunk of the piece. Every time we're checking our technique and making sure we're playing everything correctly and at a speed where you can play it right through without any mistakes for that particular chunk. Okay, and once I'm really comfortable with that, and I've done it 10 times, or if you need to do it 20 times, then you can just repeat it. And then we go on to the next chunk, which in this piece will be this section. You might need it to be a smaller chunk, but I'm going to do that size. So let me start again. That was once. That's twice. That's 3 times, and I'm going at quite a fast speed, so you don't have to wait for me, but you can take it slowly, you can do a smaller section, and then once I've chunked that, then maybe I'll put the 2 big phrases together and chunk that. That's once. Oh, I should have started again. So that's once, and I can keep going with that. Twice. We can go through that 10 times over. And if you keep going with this, like this with the whole piece, you would sometimes just do a very small chunk. Sometimes you're going to join it together with the chunk before. Sometimes you're going to play half the piece, but you're going to make it manageable sections so that you can play it through 10 times and feel like you're really focusing on that particular section. Sometimes the chunking might be even just 2 or 3 notes in a row. You can really get as focused as you need to work on the particular thing that you need to accomplish in this piece before you move on. If your piece has a particularly difficult section that you always make mistakes on, then you can focus in on that section and play that 10 times over. Some people call this the 10 penny method, by the way, but I think it's more fun to use sweets than money, than little coins. But anyway, you can 10 penny or chunk the little area where you make a mistake. So you can break it down into little chunks and do each of the chunks and then join it together, and then you can go again from the beginning of the piece, and you'll see that you have a whole new level of fluency once you've really focused on each section and practiced it really intentionally. And now the most fun part of all, well, I think so, is finally eating the sweets. Yay! And once you've finished your practice session, maybe that's a good time to eat the sweets. Some people might even eat the sweets as they do the chunking. You play it once through, you eat a sweet. You play it second time, you eat a second sweet. But I think that would be a very good way to put on a lot of weight, as you'll get very good at harp playing, but maybe that wouldn't be the best strategy. But I think it's a nice thing to have a little reward at the end of your practice. But the most important thing is that we're really focusing on our practice and we're seeing real results, and that in itself can be motivating. Now that I know how to do the chunking and I've worked on it really well, it's just a natural part of my practice. I don't use sweets or pennies or beads or anything like that anymore. This is just how I practice. It becomes a habit, and it's so effective and so exciting to see how it really changes your playing and allows you to play fluently without just playing through the whole piece 100 times. It can use your time so effectively. If you were disappointed that I didn't play through the entire piece of My Childhood Swing, here's a video where I played through the whole thing previously. And thanks so much for watching. I hope today's video was helpful for you. If you have any extra tips on how you like to use chunking, then put that down in the comments section. And maybe you'd like to discuss this with some other harpists. We're going to talk about chunking in our virtual harp circle this month over on Patreon. So there's a link over there where you can find out more information and meet harpists all around the world in a video chat. Really fun. And then make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you again next week Thursday. Bye!